It's been a year since I did my last surfboard quiver video. If you haven't watched that, go check that out. I talk about what a surfboard quiver is, why it's beneficial. I have not got any of those boards anymore, so I figured it's time to do another update. In order of boards I've been riding the most recently, it is the Brock Designs Performance Midlength Thruster. So I'll just go, what is the board, why do I like it, why did I choose it, and then what do I use it for. So what is the board? It's basically a mid-length, it's a performance mid-length. The idea is as much paddle as you can get with as much performance as you can get in a mid-length shape. So it's got a fair bit of tail rocker, and then a nice amount of nose rocker, and it's got this really pulled in, basically round pin tail, that's kind of very shortboard-esque, but obviously you have the super long rail line, and he's also packed in quite a bit of thickness, but the rails are quite pinched, like they're down rails. So what does all this mean? All this means is basically, this is a PU construction as well, not the EPS. 6'10", 20 and 5/8, 2 3/4, 43 litres. So this is quite a big board for me, but very manoeuvrable for its size. And if I were to compare this to mid-lengths I've had in the past, a lot of mid-lengths I've had in the past, like the Firewire Seaside, very light, 7.0, 56 litres, EPS construction, bigger, boxier rails. That thing sat on top of the water a lot more, so it was better in smaller surf, but this, because of the PE construction, because of the design, because it's a bit narrower, because of the pulled-in tail, this sits in the water a lot more. So when you're going fast, it's a lot easier to set a rail and commit to a turn or a bottom turn or whatever. You're not this board's more about controlling speed than generating speed when compared to the Sunday. If I were to compare it to the JS Big Baron, I would say it's pretty similar in terms of controlling speed and generating speed. But because of this third fin box here, I've found a lot of mid-length twins, once you get your foot sort of behind the fins, they get a bit wild. And if you're a good surfer, that's probably a good thing, but I'm not. So that's the other reason why I went with the thruster and not the twin. So 6'10", I probably would have gone, if I could, the 6'8", maybe the 6'6", but to be honest, I think I wanted a mid-length that would just be super easy to catch waves on. Like, it's been great. I've been surfing this a lot. I've been running the JS Power Twins, and I've tried the thruster set, the FCS 2 accelerators, and I really like those too. If I want to catch a lot of waves, this is the board. Wave range, for me, it's more of a sort of a step-uppy mid. Like it's mid for good waves. Not loving this board, maybe chest high and above. Most important board to have in your quiver as an intermediate surfer, in my opinion. Because yeah, if you can just guarantee yourself a high wave count, oh my god, that's everything, right? I'll talk about this board more in a review soon. The next board that I've been riding the most lately is the Seaside by Rob Machado. And I recently downsized from a 5'8" to a 5'6". I've been on the 5'8" for like, I think over a year, and I was loving it, still love it, but I just was feeling a little bit like I wanted to roll over onto rail a little bit easier in like a slightly better weight. So I sized down to a 5'6", so it's 5'6" by 21.25" by 2.5", 32.7 litres. This thing's, I love the Seaside. I've already done a video on it. For a long time, I really loved how people look when they surf a fish, and I've loved that whole sort of style of surfing. And yeah, I think the Seaside is probably one of the more user-friendly fishes out there that is going to give you that feeling. Obviously, fish, wide point forward, swallowtail. Tail's quite pulled in though, and the rails are extremely sharp and refined in the tail. And obviously, it's a quad. I love quads, especially in a fish. Like, I think it just makes a lot of sense. Trustworthy is not the word, but you're not spinning out on a quad. You know what I mean? You're just locked in. I've been running these Everly split keels, which I'm really loving. So the front fin is more raped than the Machado quad set, and the back fin is more upright than the Machado quad set. And it really does. It's not more drive. Feels a bit looser and a bit more pivoty, and it hasn't sacrificed any hold, which is kind of sick. Like, so I'm loving that. I'm loving these fins, loving this board, frothing on this thing. So that's what the board is. What's it for? It's basically if the waves are fun and they're not overhead, this board's magic. Being a 5.6, it doesn't paddle as great as a mid-length, but it paddles surprisingly well for how low volume and small it is. I think the width and the flat rocker really up the paddle on this thing. Like, it paddles pretty damn good. And it catches waves pretty good too. It's weird. If you've got, I think if you've just got a wide planing surface, it does just make catching waves easier, even if the volume's low. Perfect seaside scenario is like shoulder high, not super fat, bit of juice in the wave, you know, point break, where you don't have to paddle all the way back up, you can do a run around. That's perfect seaside scenario. I mean, that's perfect any board scenario, but yeah, this thing will also go in like knee-high beach breaks and, you know, waist-high sucky reef breaks. Like, and sometimes if it's really small, I'll chuck twins in it instead of the quads. So I've got a set of the CI BMT. I really love it as a twin in small waves. It just gets stupidly loose, stupidly fast, and it's lots of fun. That's my fish. Well, that's one of the fishes. Yeah, the Seaside. Alright, so we've covered my mid-length and my groveler. My mid-length is kind of also a step up. This is my shortboard. My high performance, if I want to rip, if I want to do my best surfing, my best turns on the best waves, this is it, the Asym Lightbender. Incredible board. I've always known that they're sick, but I wasn't even looking to buy one, but I just saw it. And it was an opportunity purchase. And I didn't realize how hectic it was going to be. Like, the rocker on this thing is pretty intense for what I'm used to. It's a very high performance rocker, and it doesn't look super high performance, like from the outline, but if you start measuring things and start looking at it, it's like this tail is extremely pulled in. Like, compared to some shortboards, this is a really pulled in tail. And the thing's quite narrow. I think the dims say it's 20, but when I measure it, it's like 19.6 inches. But anyway, the dims are a bit of a mystery on this one. Obviously secondhand like all the other ones, but you can't really see the dims. But I think it was advertised as 5'11" by 20.5 by 2 5/8, 36 liters. I think it's more like 19 and something. Like, it feels way narrower than 20.5, but anyway. Sick board, super light construction, like crazy light construction, so it doesn't go great in the chop, but on a clean face, it's unparalleled. So much hold, so much control, and a little bit more speed than a standard shortboard thruster, and also a bit more like drive. I had a thruster that I was surfing and I was enjoying, and when I got this, I couldn't get back on the thruster. It's got a little bit more squirt, and it paddles great, and yeah, I love it. Obviously, I'm not a super high performance surfer, so depends on who you are, obviously, but yeah, I think there's just so much rocker, especially in the tail of this thing, so much control. What is it for? It's basically like if the waves are fucking good, if the waves are really good and I feel like going as hard as I can, or doing my best stuff, head high, hollow sections, clean. I've surfed it in smaller surf, like sort of chest high, shoulder high, hollow, and it goes great. And it can grovel, but it doesn't generate speed like the Seaside or my mid. So typically in smaller surf, I'm probably going to gravitate towards the Seaside. But when it gets to that point where you don't need to generate speed, you're really looking to control speed, this is go-to. And then the last board that I have at the moment is my little Asym Fish. This doesn't really serve a spot in the Quiver, to be honest. I don't need this board, but I got it a while ago and I don't really feel like selling it. It's a really cool board. So obviously it's an Asym. I've done a video on this board already if you dive deeper into it and what it is and stuff, but it's a little 5.6 Asym Fish. 5.6 by 20.25 by 2.5, 33.4 litres. In terms of controlling speed and generating speed, I feel like it kind of sits between the Seaside and the Lightbender. Like, it's not generating tons of speed, but it's definitely skatey and fast compared to the Lightbender. But when you throw it on a hillside rail and you've got those quads, oh my god, it's something else. So yeah, it's a fucking sick little board. The problem with this board is it doesn't paddle well or catch waves that well compared to my other boards, so it has to be kind of special conditions for me to really want to surf it. Like, it has to be low crowds, good waves, you know, a well-defined peak, so I'm not, you know, struggling to find waves. And that doesn't happen very often, to be honest. So that's what I found with this board. I really loved it, but I was just finding it annoying to catch waves on. And obviously I could just get better at surfing, but I'm not a full-time surfer. I think it's gonna be great for the summer. In summer, I get to surf more than like once or twice a week. I get to surf as often as I want, pretty much, because I can surf after work. Yeah, it's got an electric feeling, this board. It's crazy. That's the Quiver for at the moment. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. I'm gonna do a review on the KBD soon, like a full review. Still need to do a review on the Lightbender. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. Tell me about your quiver in the comments. I'm curious. Do you have a fish, a mid, and a shorty? Or do you have like a log, a mid, and a, I don't know. What do you got? I'm curious.